Welcome to People Power Social Club, our daily digital event space ensuring no one feels isolated or alone whilst we spend more time at home.
So these are the two pictures these are just going to be kind of the backdrop pictures today. I remember last time I kind of told you the names of the big Chinese classics. One of them was Journey to the West, and one of them was The Romance of the Three Kingdoms. And we're going to have one story today from The Romance of the Three Kingdoms, and how it all started out. And basically, these on here, we've got our three protagonists. I'm not going to give you away their names yet, but I'll tell you who they are just in a second. So the epic starts back in 200 AD at the fall of the Han Dynasty. And the Han Dynasty had been around for 400 years. They did some pretty nifty stuff like start building the Great Wall of China, and the Terracotta Army was also their doing, but it was all falling apart at the seams. There was a series of child emperors raised by the palace eunuchs who were only allowed to live until they were kind of reached maturity, and then they kind of popped off and they were replaced by the next child emperor, and the country was being controlled by the court and palace eunuchs and by some of the army generals. And one of these army generals was called Cao Cao, and this Cao Cao guy, he is like the big evil dude in the whole story of the Romance of the Three Kingdoms, and he was a general in the emperor's palace. And then meanwhile that was happening, that was in the north of China. Down in the south there was the Yellow Turban Rebellion, which was basically just a peasants' revolt, and they would wear yellow turbans, and the reason they wore yellow is because they said that they represented the earth element, which was what was needed to contradict the fire element of the red of the emperor and of the palace. And their main claim was that the emperor had lost the mandate of heaven, which is this kind of abstract concept that goes across, that is basically the divine right to rule. So they were saying that all the eunuchs degraded the monarchy, and they have no mandate of heaven and no right to rule, and they were causing all these revolts in the south. So that's going on in the south. In the north we have the corrupt emperors. And then our story, this is just the backdrop, our story happens around the middle of China, along the great Yangtze River, which kind of cuts China in two. And this is kind of around the middle. And enter our three protagonists. That is Liu Bei at the front. And then on the side, we've got Guan Yu on the left, with the kind of pointy beard. And then Zhang Fei on the right with the rounder face. And they will become main protagonists of the Romance of the Three Kingdoms and the founders of one of the Three Kingdoms. But the story today is how they met and how they set up their faction to reclaim the mandate of heaven for the emperor. Anyway, so the three met each other. I don't know how randomly it was, but it was in the Mulberry village. And they met each other, and for whatever reason, they sat down and they started sharing food and sharing a drink, and they started drinking, and they started sharing stories. And Guan Yu and Zhang Fei, the two on either side, they were each saying how, talking about the news that they heard of the rebellion of the Yellow Turbans and how terrible it was, and how they had no mandate to rule, and they did not have the mandate of heaven, and that they felt that they ought to represent the emperor and fight for the emperor, and that they felt that they felt bad for not doing it. And then Liu Bei at the front, he started to say to them, well, you know, guys, the eunuchs in the palace, maybe the emperor doesn't have the mandate of heaven to rule either. And they took amazing offense and shock at this, and how could everyone not side with the emperor? And then Liu Bei started to tell them a story. He started to tell them a story of a house in the village nearby, and that house was under the mulberry tree, and that there was a legend about that house, that in fact, the people who lived in the house now, who were a very poor family, they were in fact ancestors, 10th generations removed, of a previous Han emperor, of the real Han emperor, and it was his son who had got lost and was the actual rightful heir to the throne, but was in fact living in poverty in this house underneath the mulberry tree, which was so impoverished that all the walls were bare. It was terribly sad. And as he begins to tell them the story, and as he's telling them the story, the two realize that the person that he's talking about and the family he's talking about, Liu Bei, he is actually the person who lives in this house. and he keeps on telling them how the youngest son has realized that he is heir to the throne, has been searching for 15 years, searching for someone to kind of recognize his claim. And they all kind of comes together, this realization that that is him, and this is not just a story. And then they say to him, well, why haven't you reclaimed your rightful place as the emperor? And he says to them, well, I don't have any money and I don't have any funds to do it. And then Zhang Fei, the guy with the round face, he jumps up and he says, I have funds. You look like a great guy. I'm a butcher. I'm a wealthy butcher. Let's do this. Let's set up a warring faction and let's reclaim the mandate of heaven, and let's restore the mandate of heaven to its rightful family, to you, Liu Bei, as you are the rightful heir to the emperor. And they decide to do this, and they decide to swear a oath together, and this is called the Oath of the Peach Garden. And they find a peach garden nearby, and they choose a peach garden because peaches signify immortality in Chinese mythology. So they go to the peach garden and they make an oath, and they say to each other, their oath is, we were not born on the same day and we were not born to the same parents, but we make an oath to die on the same day together. And that is their oath to all become this warring faction and to set up their brotherhood. They become 3 brothers. And that's it. And then that's where the story starts. That's how the romance of the 3 kingdoms all begins. And I took, so like any good Chinese story, I took some Chinese proverbs from that story, and I've got 2 Chinese proverbs down here, and I wanted us to have a go at pronouncing them because we did our pronunciation last time. So here we go. This one is 时势造英雄, and it means time makes the man. The trend of everything brings forward the hero. So they were there, basically saying the right place at the right time. Do you guys want to have a go at saying it? So it is, the last one, this one is 英雄.
英雄.
Yeah, that's good. And then 造英雄.
造英雄.
There you go. And now this, can you see it's the same word, but one of the tones goes up and one of the tones goes down. So it is 时势造英雄.
时造英雄.
Yeah, this is the tones in Chinese. This is these magical things. These signs on the top tell you if the tone is going up or tone going. It takes a long time to learn. So this is 时势. Yeah, that's it. That's it. Good.
Come on, Deanna.
Good. And then the next one was, have another go.
With 是
Yeah.
造 英雄.
Yes, it's 时势造英雄. There you go. Good. Let's do next one. So this is a good bird chooses a good tree to perch. This is what they said to each other when they realized that they were all good men and they were all going to like band together and be a brotherhood. Let's just do, so to the bottom. So this is 七夕.
七夕.
And this, yeah, good. Then let's do 好树七夕.
好树七夕.
Yeah, so the Q is like a ch, so it says 好树七夕.
七夕.
好树七夕.
Yeah, good. When it's got the flat one, it's like really flat. So it's 七夕. Yeah.
Oh.
Let's do the whole one of the thing. It says 好鸟选择好树七夕.
Oh, now, and then how do you pronounce the other word?
So X is like a S sound. So this is 选择.
选择. Okay.
Yeah, 选择. There's 好鸟选择好树七夕.
好鸟选择好树七夕. Okay.
How niao.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh no, I got stuck. How niao. What's this one?
Xuanzi.
Xuanzi. How shi qi shi.
Yeah, so that was perfect apart from this one. This is shu.
Shu.
How shu. Shu. Shu.
How
How
shu.
shu.
She.
Yeah. Yeah,
Just walk
there you
around
go, guys.
shouting,
That
a good
takes.
tree to perch. A good tree to perch. How shu qi shi. And people will think we're weird.
Just find when everything goes back to normal, just find a random Chinese person on the tube to sit next to and tell them that you've chosen the good bird chooses a good tree to perch. No, exactly what you're talking about.
Jacob, is there any relationship in the Chinese characters? Are they they're just pictograms, or is there any sort of phonetic element in there?
There is. Okay, let me. There is. When there's no. Okay. Good question. Can you see the two? Can you see the two I've made bigger?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Can you see on the left-hand side? They've both got the left-hand side of them. They've both got the same little picture within them.
Yeah, the little arrow up. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what's called the radical of that character. So that is the radical of that character, and that is a tree. That represents the tree. So the character on the left is tree, and the character on the right of it is perch, like perch on a tree. So that little radical gives them the meaning, okay? And then the other part of the character may or may not give the sound. So on the one on the left, it doesn't have any relation to the sound. It's just one that you need to remember. But on the right, that radical is called on the right, the one that looks like kind of a line with kind of a window with curtains on it.
Yeah.
That appears quite a lot with that sound of she or she. So the answer to your question is yes and no. It depends on the character. Some characters do have a sound component. Some characters have a meaning component. Some characters have neither, and it's just a pictogram. Some characters are not even a pictogram. They're just a random assemblage of different radicals that you just have to remember.
Okay.
So,
and is it right? There's about 2,000 of them.
Yeah. Much more than that. There's probably about 40,000 characters, but the radicals themselves, they're actually not that many. So the radicals, which are the little characters that make up the characters, I think they're only in the hundreds. And then it's a combination of those that make up the characters, but that doesn't really necessarily give you either meaning or sound.
I think it's Japanese kanji that's around 2,000 for comprehension.
Oh, right.
Oh, really?
From my studies.
But Japanese kanji, Japanese kanji is the Chinese characters. It's the same. The characters are the same. But then because there's no spelling to it, then the way they're pronounced in Japanese, the way they're pronounced even in just Mandarin and Cantonese can be completely different because there's not spelt anything. It's just a sound with a picture. Okay, guys. Any more questions?
What's your favourite Chinese proverb?
Favorite Chinese proverb? Oh no. Another one that I was there's one called it goes Wan Shi Yu Bei Zhi Qian Dong Feng, and it means 10,000 things have been prepared. All you need is the eastern wind, which is like you've got everything ready, but you just need something circumstantial to happen so that you can execute your masterful plan. So yeah, just need the eastern wind.
Beautiful.
Do you feel like the Airbender series stole from Chinese mythology?
The Airbender series? I don't know what that is.
Maybe you don't know it. They have the Fire Nation, the Air Nation. When you started talking about the Emperor and the Fire and the Earth and the Yellow Turbans, I thought maybe there's a connection, or people think they've stolen it.
Is
you need
it?
to watch your American anime.
Yeah, no, I'm not a big anime fan. If I was, I'd probably have much bigger knowledge. But these kind of things, these stories are so ubiquitous in anime and in computer games. If you just type in Three Kingdoms, you just get like so much
Everything.
into Google. You just get so many like anime pictures and video game characters. So yeah.
Which of the three protagonists do you relate to best?
I'd say Guan Yu, the one on the left. It's not something I've heard of. He's kind of smart and loyal, which I'd say I might have one of the two of those down. So yeah.
Any more questions from anyone?
You probably said that at the beginning, and I was not connected yet. But how many years ago you started studying Chinese, and why?
So I moved to Taiwan in 2013. I just moved to Taiwan because I just graduated and I just wanted to travel, and I've been teaching. So I moved there without any real plan to study Chinese, and then I lived there for 3 years. So but the last year I spent I worked for 2 years, and then the last year I spent intensely studying Mandarin at one of the universities there.
So you were working there for the first 2 years?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, wow, interesting. Didn't know that.
Yeah.
That sounds good. Well, if that's about it, Alan, you've been suspiciously quiet. Do you have anything?
No, I'm learning, you see. I've got many gaps in my knowledge over the years. So I'm learning more. That's why I look into these. It's very interesting.
Brilliant. And Ronnie, anything further from you?
No, that was really interesting. Thanks very much, Jacob.
Awesome. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Jacob. I think we'll call that an end to the session.
Stay safe, stay busy, and tell us a cool story next time we see you.